Greetings, everybody, and welcome to episode 71 of the Sickcast, aka the Siblings in Cardboard podcast. I'm your host, Noah, joined by my lovely buddies and co-hosts, Thomas and Donnie. Sadly, we're missing Justin this week, but that's okay. You're here with us in spirit. Whether you're a veteran card gamer or a first-timer just testing the waters or a Pokemon collector, we are all siblings in cardboard. Guys, what have you been up to? How's Flesh and Blood? How's
I'm really distracted by Donnie.
Was he swinging around? Is he being animated?
He was like,
no, I was just
you.
miming you.
He's like,
yeah, while you were reading, I was lip syncing to everything you were saying. Just not a whole lot going on for me in the world of Flesh and Blood. I had to skip the armory this week. I had to drive down to South Georgia because there was a death on my wife's side of the family, so we drove down for the funeral / service / memorial, whatever it was. That was lovely. It was, it was great for her to spend some time with the family because we don't ever see the folks down in Albany. But yeah,
funerals are always a mixed bag, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's like a happiness to them because it's like a celebration of someone's life, but a sadness because they've passed away.
I mean, we got to see family that we haven't seen in 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then more for some of the other ones. I mean, it's terrible that there's people in your life that you don't ever see until something happens.
Yeah.
And just a general reminder to everybody, say hey to the people you love. I mean, you never know when something's going to happen. But I don't want to get too deep in the weeds on that. Let's bring it, going back to Flesh and Blood. I managed to get in 1 or 2 games on Talishar while I was down there, and I had to stay back at the cabin we were staying at just so I could, knock out my article for this week. And I'm so torn, guys. I still don't know which one I want to play more. If I want to try to lean more into new and update my new list, or if I want to keep tinkering with Mario, because I keep going back to Redback Shroud and thinking about Redback Shroud and Razor Reflex and all of these other one-cost things and how that interacts with bonds and whether or not that's an advantage in the aggro mirror if you have an extra D-react sitting on the board or an attack react sitting on the board. I've been in the freaking kitchen with this crap all week. Just had it in my brain. I want to try it. I gotta try it. I'm gonna try Redback Shroud.
I think the RTN results show that new is a little bit better.
Oh, yeah.
So if you want to play the best deck, it's probably some version of new. But Mario's great, so...
Mario's fun.
I think all the assassins, except for, or maybe original Arachne, are in pretty good places right now.
Well, I mean, anything to get Redback Shroud on the map. Look, man, I'm all about it. So don't.
Okay. Am I crazy? Would that be an actual advantage in the mirror match to have that extra attack react? You could give up a whole extra card and then still have 2 reacts. 1 from the board, 1 from the hand, and then another one in equipment.
I mean,
there's
depends
these
on how
2 really
you get the
broken
tunic.
pieces of equipment that allow you to have the tunic resource on the turn that you want it every time. It's you flick a dagger, and then you make a resource with blood splattered vest.
Yeah.
It's so good. You just have to go with that. Redback
But
Shroud
it's not about the resource. It's not about the resource. It's about having the extra attack reaction.
He's talking about the
Specifically for
attack
a Bonds of Agony turn.
Because Redback counts as an attack reaction.
Mm-hmm.
That the actual initiation of you destroying it and discounting it is an attack react.
So
and then you can play an attack react.
Are we talking about Mario? I guess we're talking about Mario in this case.
Yeah, or Arachne, or Slippy.
So
maybe even
Mario,
Azuri, I don't know.
Mario gets 1 from himself if he's transformed, and he gets 1 from the flick. You only need 1 more. So I don't know. The deck's,
I don't know. Maybe I'm just in the weeds on that one.
Yeah, probably. Because
I mean, that
like,
chest will eventually work.
If you think about it, like one of the best reactions is the redback one, the one that costs 1 unless they're marked, and so it all just works perfectly. You flick them, they're marked, and then you get to play it for free and give it +3 and go again. So even if they block it out, they're getting beat up by whatever your next card is.
Maybe I'm just thinking that would help in a pivot turn where you use Bonds of Agony with fewer cards in hand, just trying to force your opponent to interact with you. I don't know. Somebody smarter than me can figure it out. I'm just going to tinker with it. Or maybe Enix needs to run Razor Reflex in the deck. Maybe it's just an excuse to run Razor Reflex, then get E-strikes in there, and I don't.
I'm the same way. I'm playing 2 Rune Blades. I love Florian and I love Vincent, and I put Vincent away for a while. Played tons of Florian, and I played a few games with Vincent. Like, man, I miss rune gating so much. Just before we started this, you guys got to see the mythical quad gate.
Oh yeah, that was wild. That was a wild turn.
Well, I mean, Eloquent Eulogy lets you do some really broken stuff sometimes.
Sure does.
Yeah.
For the listeners, talk through that turn real quick, because that's worth talking about. That was insane.
Okay. So the scenario is that I applied enough pressure to the Enigma. I'm at like 4 and she's at like 14. I applied enough pressure that she like just makes a spectral shield, swings at me for 2 and drops me to 4. I'm like, whatever. Because I'm like, I know I've got a good turn. I've got a yellow Malefic in hand. I think I've got a red Malefic out, and I've got enough rune chance to throw a Deathly Wail in Arsenal. I have 2 Deathly Wails in my banish zone, right? And I go, okay, well, I could just... I know looking at it immediately that I could triple gate. And so what is it I banish? I banish another Deathly Wail. So I have 3 Deathly Wails in the bin. But I'm at, like, 4. I'm like a very low life. So I have to get these out. So I'm thinking about forcing those out. And I look, oh, wait, I could actually quad gate. So I asked the Enigma to give me a second to think it out. And the turn order is like this. I throw the Deathly Wail, a red Deathly Wail for 6 and 3 rune chance. They actually block it completely out, which is like the most unideal situation, right? They AB3, block 6. But I activate creepers, play
Shadow Puppy.
Shadow from Arsenal, which is a shadow non-attack action. Gives it go, so I give my next attack go again. I get my action point back. I pay a life. I break chain, go back up to 3 rune chance because of the red Malefic, and then I Deathly Wail again with a yellow Deathly Wail for 6 go again with 3 rune chance. This with one of them unblockable. And remember, I pitched a yellow, so I've got 1 floating. And so it comes in for 6. And my hand is currently a Funeral Moon and an Eloquent Eulogy. So they can't block it out. They take a little bit of damage. And so I then throw, with the 1 resource I have left, I throw the Eloquent Eulogy. So they've taken damage. As soon as the Eloquent Eulogy is done, I break chain. And I go up to 2 rune chance because breaking chain with the Deathly Wail, and we both lost life. I go up to 2 rune chance. I play the Funeral Moon for at instant speed with the Eloquence token from the Eloquent Eulogy to get my action point back. Go back up to 3 rune chance, and forgot the Shadow result hit a widespread ruin. So instead of throwing the blue Deathly Wail, I throw a widespread ruin for 3 rune chance and 6. Funny enough, that didn't kill him.
Yeah, he managed to survive.
He managed to survive at 1. I had to kill him with a shadow non-attack action in the next turn. But yeah, Vincent does some crazy stuff sometimes. But you have to like look for it. It's never just there. You never just get it playing these natural hands. You look at the Vincent player and you're like, what are they doing? They're just inting. Because if you guys were watching that game, there were several times I just kept a card in my hand for no reason. Like it looked like for no reason. I'm just like, no, we need this card. And then it just works out.
I sandbagged a dirge like 3 or 4 turns.
Yeah, right? Sandbagged a dirge like 3 or 4 turns. I sandbagged.
Well, it's just better value too, because a lot of the times you were dirging incantations at 0. So like, there's no point to double dirge the turn when next turn you could dirge the next incantation that goes. It's just better math.
I also sandbagged like a rune gate card because I was like, okay, I know my rune gate ratio, and there's a good chance I don't draw a rune gate card, and I didn't. So I just looked like an absolute genius for holding on to the 1 rune gate card in the hand instead of blocking with it the previous turn. Yeah, just lots of cool stuff. Fun deck. I love Runeblade. Speaking of Runeblade, one of them's gone. We knew he was going to be gone.
Oh, yes. But he is gone.
Sure.
Bye-bye, Disarray.
Oh, well.
As someone who didn't play much Disarray, a good riddance.
Yeah, I mean, I never really tinkered with them.
It's kind of weird to me. It feels like this is the Living Legend system actually doing what it's intended to do, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. Because Viscerai I think I mentioned it in the chat. Has not been an extremely oppressive deck like to most of the format. Like several of the other previous heroes to Living Legend, like Prism had extremely polarizing matchups. A lot of people hated Dromai. Oldhim completely warped the format. Starvo was Starvo. This is the first hero that's hit Living Legend just based off the accumulation of points over the course of its lifetime. This is exactly what the Living Legend system is intended to do, right?
I would say Briar did it a little bit. Briar was...
I think Briar picked up a big portion of the points, though, in a meta that was...
Well, that's what I think. She picked up a lot of points when she got as many embodiment Earths as she could possibly make in one turn.
Right. I feel like there was probably some points that were added onto Briar when Briar wasn't the Briar we kind of knew and loved when we first started playing. But, I mean, Viserai.
Viserai stole Dash's thunder. Dash was supposed to be the first one that did this, and she's just hanging out. 940. Zen's right behind her at 937.
They're both not long for the world, so there'll be another mech card or two.
Yeah, there'll be some APAC or New Zealand or Australian game, and Dash will somehow win it out of nowhere.
The deck's definitely
at 990.
Yep, still here.
Yeah,
I
Dash
think she
is
won.
Be here forever.
Did she even win a single RTN?
I just think there's too many things going on right now. One, I don't think the deck's in a great spot. I think High Octane really does hurt. Inadvertently, like, really hurts her more than the uncontrollableness that IE gets from it. But
big old goose egg. She hasn't picked up even a random accidental RTN win.
Super value centric deck, but everything's too unfair right now. I just like there are just way too many unfair decks that are they're just doing more value. Like by the time you're getting that value engine going, you're dead.
Yeah, Florian, Verdant, and Vincent all do like the kind of the value engine better.
It feels like you're playing towards and then a what. So there'll be a card or two that comes out or something that kind of warps it into like a maybe more hyper aggressive. But the problem with Dash is you play hyper aggressive, then you run the risk of being fatigued sometimes. And so there's just like weird kind of how do I want to play it? Where's my identity kind of thing? And I feel like you're either full value or you're trying to rush down the meta. And I think there's just better decks to rush down the meta with.
There's literally a better Dash to do the rush down thing.
Yep.
I mean, if you were going to play the aggro version, why would you not just play Dio?
Well.
And then if you're playing the other Dash and you're doing the gun package thing in the late game, you get Time Walk 3 times because they just wait till the end of the game and then Warmonger's Diplomacy you 3 times.
Yep. They can just hold the cards. I mean, they might as well just IP because once you finally get it up, then they play that. That's backbreaking. Like your entire thing is this value engine you've created. You're at the end game, and now you literally can't do what you're designed to do. So it does feel rough right now. But there's other decks that feel just as rough, I think, or borderline unplayable.
I think despite that, some Mechanologist cards might have gained some value, right?
Oh my god, there's things happening that I don't even understand why they're happening. Like most of the time, I'm pretty in tune with this, but sometimes I just float through. And I just can't understand what's going on. Like it took me a while to, and I'll actually pull them up now because I forgot to do it. Even though I said I was going to. What was it?
A certain Armory deck announcement I think might have affected some Mechanologist cards.
I
know HyperX 3 definitely went up, and what's funny is it went up before the deck was spoiled. So clearly there's leaks going around.
Well, there's got to be leaks going around because other things have.
So yeah, the Max Armory deck got announced, and we get a new wrench, and the wrench is not a max specialization. And I'm pretty sure it immediately becomes Dash.io's best weapon.
Really?
Yeah.
I have not paid attention to this.
It's
I've been waiting on the Purple Discord update, and I haven't seen it.
It's a 1 cost for 3 that says if you remove a card from under it, it gets overpower and go again. And you could swing with it 2 times a turn. But you could only swing with it if you cranked. So who's the best character at cranking items?
Oh, that's 100% Dio.
How much does it cost to crank an item? 1 resource usually, right? Means you have 2 floating. So now you go boost, boost, Flip a grenade off the top, pay 1, 2 floating, wrench. I think it's pretty good. And then, like, I think there's some cool stuff that you can do with Gigawatt. Like, it's the one cost the next Mechanologist attack gets +4. If you have a card under the wrench, you could play Gigawatt for 1, and then swing the wrench for overpower, go again for 7, and then swing it again for 3. So it's a 1 card 10. Or 2 card 10. Sorry, pitch blue. 2 card 10.
I think it's nice to see Max get it. I don't know if they have any specific order. I mean, that they're doing this, and this might have already been like kind of predetermined. Doesn't seem like there's a real oldest to newest to oldest kind of thing going on. It seems like the army decks kind of just come out.
Like, who needs support, I think.
Well,
Except for the Aurora deck.
Like, yeah. Well, that's okay. I think Aurora
deck looks good.
It does look good. I think the Aurora deck did need to be created for a couple of reasons. I think homogenizing the pieces that came in the first strike and the like exclusives to that was really good. That way you can just get your sizzles and all that in one area. You don't feel like you have to buy 2 products. Kind of screwed you over if you had to buy them from the Blitz deck, but the Blitz deck was good. It was also got a very good kind of first strike B-Terra to get people into the game, so you shouldn't feel any loss about that. But I like the homogenization of it. I think you technically needed to do that when you put pieces everywhere, and I would not be surprised to see things like that with Bittering Thorn Red in the future with other Armory decks.
I think this Aurora deck might be the best Armory deck they've released. If you look at the list, this list is strong.
I just think the hero itself is really strong out of the box, but I mean, like, the KO Armory deck introduced Savage Sash, which revolutionized KO at the time, so that's a tough sell. I think Azalea got really good pieces that we're not going to fully recognize, and Ranger in general with Stone Rain, Sharpshooters. I just feel like every Armory deck has actually put out Jarl. 1, because it's the only way to get the hero. But 2, just because of the contents of the cards. I think the Armory decks are being designed in a way to, as we all know, like get players to be able to jump right into the action at the Armory level. Hence,
how many points has Aurora picked up at this point, though? Because that is a very serious concern. Like, if they put out this product
up a bit. Let's see.
I don't think she's running away with them, though.
No.
I mean, no, she's not running away with it.
She's at 496 right now. So she's steadily, it looks like she's picking up approximately 200 a season or so. So I mean, she's around till next year if she keeps up with this pace.
Okay. Well, that's reasonable.
Yeah.
I mean, that's reasonable. That's a reasonable timeline for this product and everything.
There might be some foiling next set. We don't know just yet who's getting off these high seas, okay? There could be Frosty Freezies. We don't know. Ice is still yet to make a full-fledged comeback. Yarrow kind of reintroduces us to Ice, but let's be real.
I would still like to see a new hero come out from the expansion slot.
Yeah. Or they're going to do Armory deck reveals.
We're almost 20 minutes in, and we keep going on tangents. And
okay.
We're like, hey, let's make sure we give the Market Minute its time. And we're just saying, screw you, Market Minute. We're going to ramble.
It all ties back into the market.
Noah just he didn't grab the bait. He's like, nah.
I did. We just went off a little bit. But it was HyperX, and then I looked at the cards. Okay. Let's jump right in. We're going to go straight for the 2 cards that I think are absolutely bizarre. So I think we talked about looking for scrap before. I just want everybody to understand Looking for Scrap Red has a 3-month increase of 585%. It is from Outsiders, so good luck, because Outsiders is about to be outside obsolete. It is almost $4 a rare right now. That's right. That's non-foils. Whoa. So all those Looking for Scrap somewhere under my bed, somewhere over there at your house.
Red,
set all those aside. Obviously just red. Yeah, just set those aside. They're real.
What's the foil at?
The foil is double it, so you're talking $8, $9, $10 a foil.
It's the assassin tax.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And we're gonna follow it up. You guys ready for more assassin tax? Guess how much yellow shred is?
Probably about the same, about $4.
Right about $4 to $5. In fact, there's only one at heavily played, or 3. Sorry, my bad. 3 at heavily played for $3. Then it jumps up. And then it's right at $5 for a normal, rare, and rainbow foils are flying off the shelves at 10 plus.
Wow.
Welcome to, well, Dynasty's also $800 a case or 700. So, you know, give or take, eventually all your Dynasty cards will become hard to get. Sort of, maybe. It still depends on the meta. But definitely want to take a look at that. One more kind of just really weird thing. This has to be some, you know what? I don't even know what this is. Specifically, the yellow Sikkim Shot promo has been bought out, and now it's at like $35. Specifically, just yellow. Just yellow Sikkim Shot, just the promo.
That's
I don't know
really
what you guys
weird.
are doing, but maybe you guys want yellow Sikkim Shots. Maybe this is some weird prismatic ley line. Oh my lord, don't be doing it.
People aren't going to play Sikkim Shots. Why would you play Sikkim Shot when you could play Bolton Shot?
Look,
that card's actually really good. Sikkim Shot
some
is...
some people decided they were worth $8 to have. I don't know what to tell you. There's just really not that many. Don't take this one seriously. This is more of a why. Just ask yourself why. Moving on, we could talk a little bit about HyperX 3 because it was mentioned. It is $25 and jumps right up to 30, so there's only a couple there. That's a pretty steady increase. I mean, it's up 105% last 3 months, 110 last month. This card was under $10, criminally undervalued. I'm pretty sure at one point, I told you guys to go do HyperX 3, and everybody said that card's never going to be good. And I said, well, you might just want to pick up a HyperX 3 because it's about criminally low is usually what I say. And lo and behold, wow, Max gets announced. The next thing you know, it's criminally where it needs to be. $30.
So, in order to play HyperX 3, you have to put about 7 hyperdrivers into your deck. Do you know what the maximum number of hyperdrivers you'd ever put into your deck is?
7.
No. You'd only put the reds and yellows in because the other blue card takes the set spot of the blue hyperdrivers.
Look, I'm not necessarily making the rules here. They decided to put Max out. HyperX decided to go up. Whether or not it gets played, not necessarily the point right now. It is his headpiece, technically.
So I played it in some goofy -IO decks, but that was because like you didn't have space to take them out of the deck with the Nitro Mechanoid package. So you just left them in and used them as part of like your aggro package. So you occasionally get to draw an extra card. But Max doesn't know if he's boosting it or not.
No. But maybe that's the thrill. You gotta gamble a little bit to go real fast. Just throwing it out there, Moonshot should probably be on your radar as well because it's his signature. Now, don't start with me about Moonshot. Anything that says the word specialization will one day have... Oh, it's not a specialization. Never mind.
Oh, it's not even a
than.
specialization.
Well, just so everybody's aware, Moonshot is slowly trending up. It's like $5 for the regular. The real craziness is the rainbow foils are at $16 a pop. So just so you guys are aware, Moonshot might be real.
Why would you destroy your own hyperdrivers?
Because you're going fast. Max isn't here for a long time. He's here for a good time, a really quick good time. So he wants to put those hyperdrivers out and break them all, and then throw you a Moonshot with overpower.
You have to break 3 hyperdrivers in order.
He's on the card.
Okay, so keep in mind you have to break 3 hyperdrivers to get the overpower, and that pushes it up to 12. And you have to pitch 6.
Do you control the hyperdrivers under HyperX 3?
No.
Is HyperX 3's name also Hyperdriver?
Anything under a piece of equipment doesn't exist in the game space except as a card under a piece of equipment.
What if there's something that's coming out in the Armory deck that is named also Hyperdriver? Spooky scary, right?
Okay.
Who knows?
So, yes, like if some of the equipment says it counts as a hyperdriver, I could see some cool stuff there.
All right. See, now we're cooking. Moonshot.
Yeah. Okay.
Should probably get a place.
There is some cool things you could do with this, right?
No.
Okay. So there are cool things. Let's say you have 3 hyperdrivers out that are at 2 counters each. You boost a red 0 to 60. You come in for 4 go again, right? 4 go again makes 3 resources. You pitch a blue. You break all 3 hyperdrivers, and you come in for 12 overpower. So that was a 3-card 16. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's not like
you get a go again on it, maybe, and you slam
you can't get go again on it. What are you gonna get go again? There's no go again.
Boots, maybe.
Okay, so instead of rushing out and picking up regular non-foil moonshots, if you want to look ahead, get the rainbow foils, because if Max is on the card, it's almost certainly going to be in that deck.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want the rainbow foils, you should get the rainbow foils now. But I'm also, you might actually give it like a
might
week.
Be in the deck. That's true.
That is true. That is true.
If he's on the card, it's almost certainly in the deck.
Well, that's what it's
intended for. I wish it was
for.
blue. Moonshot was blue. It would be playable.
Cards like Prismatic Leyline need to have a life too, and that's why there's yellows. Okay, I'm actually, we'll get to it, but I've been thinking about an Ira deck. You guys are gonna laugh, but just wait till we get to it. We'll save it for down there. I can't get off of it. It might be one of those like, are you too high thoughts when you're just sitting there like this sounds
like me and Redback Shroud.
Yeah, no. Redback Shroud, eventually there will be an assassin. There's cards like Payday. There will be an assassin that will get something that says X amount of silver, like a blood on her hand. There will be a silver assassin. There's no way.
That's just
a real one. No, a real one that wheels and deals.
You're telling me that we just had a set that printed 2 more Arachnes. But that wasn't the set that's going to make silver.
No. It took 3 years. How long for Dynasty? It took it's so long for Dynasty to become realized, and we're not even there. Payday will have its own Payday later on. Okay, this is just don't worry about it. But we need to move on. We got a ton of Guardian cards to talk about. In fact, I just want to give a PSA for Guardian. I've been talking a lot with some people, mainly just a couple other investor-y card people. Guardian seems to be a really safe time right now to pick up some stuff. What I mean by that is, if you think about Betsy, I'd pick it up. If you're thinking about Victor, I'd pick it up. If you're thinking about Prime to Fights, I'd pick them up. I would pick these criminally low cards up before the Mastery set releases. There's no saying what's going to happen, but if Victor's on the map, that shield goes through the roof. Goldmane Estate goes through the roof. There's just cards that instantly go higher. Terra Sunders, we've already seen it a little bit. Tectonic Plating is up. We're going to talk a little bit about that. Spinal's Cripplings, like they've all kind of started coming back up. At least Crippling. Crippling's the one that goes there. No, sorry, Spinal. Spinal's the one that goes in all decks. Crippling is Bravo specific. But there will be some kind of a resurgence. I wouldn't say they're going to go to the moon unless Guardian is just absolutely rampant upon the meta. But there are cards that I would consider right now are very comfortable. So drink them under the table, bet big if you're for Betsy. The estates, things like they're very comfortable right now. This is a great time to do it. You don't want to pay that, oh man, the list is getting spoiled for Mastery Garden set hype, because it's going to happen.
Earthlord
know what
Bounty
happens
costs
with everything.
$1 right now.
Yeah, not the extended art version. We're going to talk about
that. Not the EA
that.
version.
Well, that's the one people want.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
You should still pick up your Earthlore Bounty for Valda, but a lot of that ship has sailed, to be honest, and we're going to jump right into it. Just touching on Felling of the Crown, it's not the highest it's ever been. Felling of the Crown is 45 right now, but it's on the list for another reason. It's what has happened to Plow Under. And so I'm just saying to kind of take a look at Felling of the Crown, make sure that you do have your play set going forward. Its highs are around 54, but there's only quite a few up there below the $57 range. It goes quickly to $60. Plow Under is actually bought out. It's at $66 right now. The only ones are rainbow foils at $68 and $70 respectively. There are no Plow Unders.
That's so weird, because this card sucks.
This seems to be like it must be a targeted thing where people are just like, you know what, this is criminally low. I don't know, but they've sold recently. We're talking February 19th through today. Pretty much the entire inventory has just been bought.
The only reason
are heroes about to dominate the meta or something? Is everybody playing Verdants now?
I don't know, man. This is the first card I cut out of my Living Legend deck to make room for more poppers.
It's Arsenal hate. I don't know. I mean, it's unblockable Arsenal hate.
It's just there's so many play lines where Plow Under is bad. Like if you Arsenal a Felling of the Crown and you draw a Plow Under, it's just awful.
Yeah, you feel bad because you're paying the price on one of those most likely.
Yeah. The Felling of the Crown puts a card from your hand on the bottom. So are you gonna like overkeep? Like you gotta keep a like 3-card hand in order to try to arsenal the Plowhunter. And if you play the Plowhunter, you lose your Felling of the Crown.
Yep. But you second cycle it, but yes, you lose it.
Well, it depends on the matchup. Yeah, second cycling it sometimes okay, but a lot of times there's a lot of matchups.
There's no information given, so.
Well, there's a lot of matchups where you win by playing 3 Felling of the Crowns like in a row.
Well, yeah,
I lost a game like that yesterday.
I can definitely see that. Again, this is one of those.
Hey, you want to watch an opponent's eyes roll in the back of their head, play Felling of the Crown 3 turns in a row?
Mm-hmm. And then a plow under. Ooh.
Oh yeah,
$70.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It is pretty crazy considering it's just gone. Like it's just gone. And it's weird because it's only plow under. So I had to quickly check.
It's only like 2 small sellers that have it up too.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's gone. Like if you look at the sales history, it looks around the 19th and the 20th. The majority of them were bought. All at the 20 to. Oh, sorry. Hold on. I was looking at another card. The 27th. There was a bunch bought, and then really just the last few days they've been bought out.
Is Flesh and Blood underprinted?
We can talk about that. It's not necessarily. Well, we'll talk about that here in a second. Earthlore Bounty, we did talk about the original one. You can get that for very cheap if you want the cold foil. It's 50 plus. So is that reasonable? I think it's pretty reasonable. Another card from Everfest. We already talked about how Everfest is. You guys should have been on the Everfest train when I told you about the Everfest train eons ago. The Everfest train is still kind of here, but that ship is slowly sailing. Remember, they scrapped the unlimited print, by the way.
Do not buy a cold foil Earthlore Bounty right now.
No, you don't have to.
No, definitely not.
Not right now.
So 2 weeks ago, it was $18. There's
because Valda wasn't announced.
Yeah, but there's like 100 of them on the market, all for $40. They're overpriced. People have like jacked the price of these up so bad.
Tectonic Rift has a 132% increase over the month. I think it's a little higher than that, to be honest. Tectonic Rift came out in Bright Lights. It was an expansion slot. Just create X seismic surge tokens with Go Again. Only blocks 2. That card card
existed.
Card is ass.
Probably a lot of people did. Well, it's speculatively going up, even if it is ass.
It is better in Valda. That is true.
Wow, somebody got one for $3.
Yeah.
That was just yesterday. Somehow, in the midst of all this price craze, it's $9. There's only one left, and it goes up to $13. That is not the rainbow foil. The rainbow foils are $20 a piece. So
Blue Block 2. What are you, an Earth hero?
Yeah, I know. Blue Block 2. Ugh.
Yeah, I don't know why it's a Block 2.
Well, if it was a Block 3, I think it would be broken.
It wouldn't be
They don't need any more Blue Block 3s.
I don't even think you'd still play it, but
well, we don't know how good seismic search tokens are going to be just yet.
Yeah, we do.
Might be gold.
It's a discount of 1 on the next turn. Like
yeah, but there might be some payoff going on with Valda that we don't know just yet. Like some gold is the payoff for Olympia type deal. Okay, there might be a real thing you could pay into.
Says it on her hero card.
Maybe. Garden Mastery set. So I'm just going to defer everything to that. Tectonic Plating is also going up. I think I told you guys this was probably going to go up. It's good to see it go up, though. Don't get me wrong. WTR Majestic, very nice. The History Pack one's still around the $40 range, still around the same price. This one's at $65. Unless Guardian starts doing absolutely like hoops through the meta, I don't see this getting any higher. In fact, it'll probably settle back down around 50, 55. Just give it a couple weeks.
It's funny that it's priced about where a legendary is, because even though it's a majestic, if you look at its power scaling, it's basically a legendary.
Yes.
Like Grains of Blood Spill's legendary. It's almost the same power level.
Yeah. Grains is also a $100 chess piece, just so anybody's aware, and a rainbow foil. So yeah.
Wow.
I did not know.
Not on the list, because I think we talked about it last week, but just so you're aware, still up, still 90 plus at $100. Keeps being the premier warrior chest. Warriors playing a little bit more ebb and flow. At least these warriors, at least Fang, probably a lot of setup, at least to execute some things. I even think Hatchet Warrior, any type of dual warrior needs to do that as well. Unless we see some complete all-out strategy, Courage will take a backseat to it, because discounting the weapon swings just isn't needed for Fang, but isn't necessarily on anybody's radar right now. Moving forward, another thing for Seismic Surge, Grandeur of Valhalla. A long time ago, I think I told you this card was criminally low. A long time ago. This was before Victor, I think, ever came out, or I don't know. But it was criminally low. I think this card dropped down below $70 in some places as a cold foil. So, I mean, there's a couple sales at 70. I mean, it dipped around the 80, 74. That was back in October, November. It's at $180 now on the cold foil. So kind of back up where
Nice.
you'd think a cold foil gem should be. I don't know. It's an Everfest. It's a hype thing.
I mean, it definitely works in Valda.
I mean,
Like perfect Valda card.
Yep.
and didn't James White shout it out specifically not too long ago, saying that
Oh,
Grandeur
well.
is going to be a good card?
Oh, well then. Either this is Marvel Rock 2.0 and we'll get there. Or it actually will be a really good card. It'll probably be a really good card. I honestly think that there got to be big plans, if not now, later for Valda, that will probably involve something. Again, I think there'll be a bigger payoff for the Seismic Surge. Like I think there'll be some crazy stuff. Moving into Rangers, even though we were kind of, well, no, we weren't into Rangers just yet, but we're getting into Rangers now. Intoxicating Shot is back on the radar. I don't know. I think it has something to do with the high seas. I just maybe
Everybody's
Riptide's
speculating that
maybe
Ranger's gonna be
Riptide's
one of the
a pirate.
God, I can't talk.
You know what I mean? He's a pirate in heart. Pirates. He doesn't seem like a pirate to
Riptide
me.
gives me
He
pirate
does traps.
vibes.
And he does. He gives. I mean, I don't know.
He looks
gives
like a dread pirate.
old.
He looks
like a
dread
grumpy
pirate.
old whaler who like is tired of this shit. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
what,
he
that's
doesn't.
what young Riptide looks like. Old
He's
Riptide
1,000%
looks like a
a
dread
fisherman.
pirate.
He lives on the water. He is 1,000% a fisherman. He's almost certainly a pirate of some kind.
He's like a Dutchman-y pirate. He just doesn't give me yo-ho treasure vibes. You know what I
No,
mean?
he's
not
like-
necessarily.
I mean, in the lore stories,
Not
he
that
was
all
referring to
pirates have
the enemies as like little fishies and stuff. So he's
Uh-huh.
very nautically themed. I mean, Riptide, it's in the name.
All right. Well, Intoxicating Shop is going up because we have a nautical theme. So everybody get your scuba gear on. It's back up to $15 non-foil, $15 foil. Probably goes up to 20. I don't know. I mean, it's Intoxicating Shot. Card's kind of good. Card turns things on. We don't want things on.
It's okay, except Command and Conquer for 7 go again still exists.
Yeah.
You just trench the card out. You're okay.
Yeah,
Trench it.
yeah, you're okay. You got a handful of traps, and Command and Conquer for 7 go again when you're at
This-
when you're at 5, and you're
Always
just like,
we get a
"Oh,
handful
no."
of traps. It doesn't always have to have a handful of traps. Okay, just because Riptide says you got a bunch of, maybe there's going to be a card eventually that you can just pull from the trap arsenal, and we're going to just bypass them even need to being in the deck.
One of the
magic
Command and
thing.
Conquers is going to catch you
Okay.
with your pants down, whether it's Command and Conquer number 1, Command and Conquer number 2, Command and Conquer number 3, Command and
Or-
Conquer number 4 when you
Five or
codex,
six.
Command and Conquer number 5 when they codex, Command and Conquer number 6 when you codex again. Like, one of them's going to get you.
You can have up to 9 depending upon the matchup, maybe even more.
Dude, I can't tell you how many times in Riptide that you're looking at your codex and be like, man, I wish my opponent would just arsenal a card so I could play this safely.
Oh, I always forget they get to get a card too.
Yeah.
Dang.
Dude,
Reading
you
those
literally
cards.
can't play Codex of Frailty into an assassin if they have tunic counter up. You're just punting.
Yeah, that's. I have to remember that.
They're just going to throw a dagger into you, do some really dumb shit with a bunch of 0 costs, and then they're going to use their tunic counter and throw Command and Conquer into your face for 5. And you're just like,
You know what's it's crazy. I didn't script it this way, but the next card is actually Codex of Frailty. Whoa! Look at that.
card, good card.
I know you guys are
Beautiful
thinking
segue. Good
you
job.
guys are thinking that I did that on purpose. I really didn't. It was all set up way ahead of time. Codex of Frailty is $105 a card, non-foil. Yes, I told you. I told you this was going to happen.
Yep.
I think I remember saying, hold on to your pants because this shit's going higher than we've ever seen. Codex of Frailty is actually going to propel Outsiders probably ahead of Dynasty within the next 5 or 6 months if there becomes a confirmation because of that card being in there. I want you to understand it's already on the upswing. There's already very few boxes. I'm sure you can find it locally. Find your Outsiders, okay? Get your Outsiders. Open your Outsiders if you want. But Outsiders will have insane impact.
It's worth it too.
In the next meta.
Every time I draw a Codex of Frailty past turn 1, I'm like, this is a $105 card. Get it, opponent.
It's 105 non-foil, $130 for the only rainbow foil, then it goes to 170 for rainbow foils, then 207, then gone. Actually 212. That means you could realistically see 170. The E-Strike foil level prices of this card, because E-Strike foil is 179 right now for unlimited, which is actually crazy if you think about it.
What's crazy to me is that I'm seeing online more and more people are starting to downplay how strong the new assassins are. Like, they're not A tier is what is the vibe that I'm getting from some other content creators. Like, Mario's not A tier, Slippy's not A tier. New most definitely is. New is still fantastic.
Yeah, New's S.
But yeah, New is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal hero. But the consensus seems to be that the others are slightly overhyped. Like, everybody's just enjoying their new toys, and the decks aren't as good as people originally thought.
But so
is that going to impact the price?
It might, but I think one assassin is very popular. I think it's in a really good place. I think it has to be the most popular class identity right now. It's also the most expensive. But I just think that assassin has drawn, and I probably should be one of them. It is a warrior play style where you are necessarily playing to your opponent's sort of misplays if they are. But it's usually I design a play and then I do whatever based on what my opponent. It's a reactive. It's responsive, and so it feels good. You feel like you're in the driver's seat while your opponent has to guess what you're going to do before you do it, and have that kind of, oh no, I knew this was coming play. So it does feel good. There's a wide variety now, because let's put them all in. There's still original Arachne. We sort of got confinement with Slippy. We now have Marionette, Uzuri, and New. And so there are now 5 active assassins in the meta. And I'll say active. Also in a card game where B tier and C tier decks win worlds. Uzuri necessarily winning that nobody thought that, and then Fi. So we play in a card game where, yeah, there's a meta, but there's always a foiler. B tier doesn't mean, oh, it's bad, I gotta play S tier. There is no S tier Omega roll.
I will give you.
There was.
That Fi was like maybe high C, mid B tier when he won Worlds. That was like really cool. Uzuri was not a B tier deck. It was that,
but it was
that
definitely
particular
a dark
deck
horse.
into that meta was a meta killer. That deck,
but it was
crushed.
But nobody
the meta.
tier listed it that high. No, nobody on their tier list.
That doesn't
before
mean that they were.
said,
That means that doesn't mean it. That's what the tier of the deck was. It just means they were all wrong and Shoma was right.
But that's what I'm saying. So tier
Clearly
lists don't
Shoma
matter, is what I'm saying. Tier lists don't matter. Hero identity matters. So if you are inclined to play that, and I feel like Assassin right now is just.
It wasn't even hero identity. Shoma
popular.
dropped Uzuri like a bag of hot doo doo. Like right after that.
Isn't he still playing Uzuri?
No, he played something else in the next meta because Uzuri wasn't playable.
He picked up Ira right after that.
Yeah, something like that. No, I think
But
Shoma's
prior
just an
to that
excellent
event-
card gamer. And
Prior to that event, he was an Uzuri main. I
Yeah.
mean, he and Xavier McDaniels or something like that. A native English speaker living in Japan has been playing in Japan. I think he's either first or second at the Japanese Nationals last year. They both play locally with each other, and they discuss Uzuri all the time. They've been on the Plague Hive, YouTube channel that discusses assassin stuff all the time, and they both have played Uzuri for basically since Outsiders came around. Shoma was an Uzuri main all the way through that pro tour. Are we getting off in the weeds again? Because I feel like we're getting off in the weeds
a
again.
little bit.
But it's okay. But basically what we're getting at is
I
B
could keep
tier,
going,
S tier, C tier, D tier, whatever tier it is, it might not necessarily affect the prices. I just think this card is in a very like spotlight position. It will eventually maybe even out, but I think the scarcity of Flesh and Blood cards, especially Outsiders in general, might keep that down. I don't know if Outsiders. Yeah, I don't think it's going anywhere.
That card ain't going down.
Oh no,
it's not below $100 anytime soon. I'm serious. Like I don't think it goes below $100 anytime soon.
Only a reprint,
especially not the foils.
Only
if reprint happens.
That's it. Nothing else.
Which there might be an armory deck that'll do that down the road. But,
no, there'll never be.
Not a chance.
Dude, unless the armory deck costs $120.
There's no chance.
Oh, well, you get like
I could see Codex getting the Command and Conquer treatment in high seas.
Yeah. I could see that.
Which we saw drove the price down by about 10%. It was nice.
It did average CNC out. I think CNC eventually still continues to fall. It'll just take more time, but it will.
But like you mentioned, there's 5 assassins that want to play Codex. All of them are fairly meta relevant. It makes sense for a reprint.
2 Rangers.
It's dual class too.
Yeah, and
so
Rangers.
There are 2 Rangers, and who knows how many ever whatever's coming out. There could be 96 for all we know. Like, there's not going to be 96, but there's going to be another Ranger. There has to be. We got 2. One's going to LL.
Yeah.
Quiver of Abyssal Depths is on the map. This is kind of like a silly thing. It's $10, so if you just want to get one just so you have one. It is from Outsiders, so I guess you're semi-paying that tax. But it has seen a slight increase. Mainly just the cold foils have kind of been bought up a little bit. They're at like $30 a cold foil, which is kind of crazy, considering this thing was, it's under $10 for the majority of its life. And it's at like 18. Well, sorry, it's at like, it's hard to say.
It's at like
15-ish. It's like 15-ish rainbow foil. You could still get some at 11 or 12. It's slowly climbing. Just keep it on your radar so you don't get the I told you so later. Remorseless is going through the roof a little bit. It's Crucible. It's an old set. Mainly just looking at the Unlimited. The Unlimited is kind of caught up to the first editions. So usually no difference between first edition normal and Unlimited normal. Just playability. If it's not foil, it's not foil. So, but Unlimited editions are up to $23. So Remorseless is pretty much a $23 baseline card. Wow. There are some Unlimited rainbow foils at $23. They kind of jump up afterwards. First edition rainbow foils are
was that not
actually where are first edition rainbow foils? Deck? No, Remorseless was not in the Azalea deck. Not that I'm aware of. I don't believe it was, because that's way too good of a card. $50 I think is the lowest first edition rainbow foil, but it is from Crucible, so you do have to understand you are paying that set is old tax. I'd get them. I'd honestly get them if there's any chance they're going to get played.
They are going to get played. They are
for sure.
Yeah, they're one of the best anti-fatigue cards. They're also one of the best anti-aggro cards at the same time. Like, the card's got so much... It's a giant wall of text, and every word on it's a good word.
Yeah, you can't play defense reactions to the chain link from Arsenal, and then if it hits the hero, they lose a life every time they play an action card. So not attack action, actual action card. Lots of those in the meta.
So its value usually comes out, like, the value usually comes out as like a 1 for 7 or 1 for 6. It's very strong.
It is really and base power 5 costs 1. Curves well, blocks 3. There's just not much to dislike about it. Somebody guess what Surgeon Aethertide is from Dynasty. Specifically the Marvel, but I'll look up the non-Marvel. But let's just say it had a little bit of a resurgence.
Marvel's 80. That's my guess.
Nah, I'm gonna say it's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 140.
No, yeah, that's right. It's a Dynasty card. Yeah, that thing's expensive.
Wow. So Surgeon Aethertide's currently 185 for the Marvel. It's sold at 149, sold at 137, hasn't sold in the last 13 days. So it looks like this is sort of a let's see if it flows kind of a thing. It's a Dynasty Marvel that is playable. So you're really paying the where's my Dynasty tax.
Well, there's only like 7 of them. I think this is just another thing that the Dynasty doesn't exist anymore. Everyone panic, and
yeah,
your blackout Marvels are all worth triple their price.
I mean, let's hypothetically. I mean, is Rock Rock is really high, but I think it's just for the memes. I mean, Rock's still at 75 right now. It's not even being played. I think Rock is undervalued.
Hold on, you're right. It tripled in price and it's not even being played.
Well, I mean,
It's got to be more speculation, right?
Speculation
Well,
that you can't buy them anymore because the set they come from is out of print and doesn't exist.
I mean, it's been mentioned that maybe Brute's one of the new classes coming out from High Seas.
if not, it'll be the following set. It has to be. They haven't gotten a little. I say they haven't gotten a lot of love, but they really haven't. I mean, it's been about time we go back to the Savage Lands and cook things up.
It's only been a year. It's literally been a year.
Well, like I keep waiting for Armory Deck Dorinthia, but I'm waiting for next year as well. But I think there might be Armory Deck Reinhardt before that. But that's okay because I think he deserves it.
Reinhardt needs the help.
I just think Brute Gaming will eventually be back on top, looking really good. Feels good. I think.
Don't you think Katsu would get the first Armory deck
No,
No, not yet.
of the Evergreen Heroes?
Man, look, I don't know. They gave it to Aurora, so I mean anything's possible.
Man,
I mean,
who knows?
Right? They turn around. There might be a Blaze Armory deck before we get a Katsu one. I don't know. But I only have a few more cards to finish out. Sigil of Cycles, specifically the Marvel, has went up from like $20 to $50. I don't know why. I'm not entirely sure. These are one of those things where I just go, oh, okay.
There must be a Brute in the next set.
Just Sigil. Well, I don't know why. What's Sigil Cycles good for Brutes? No.
It's good for
Is
Rhinar.
it really?
Yeah, it's great for Rhinar. That's the
What's
one
it
that
do?
it's the one that discards a card, draws a card, right?
At the beginning, it just says destroy this. When this leaves the arena, discard a card, then draw a card. Yeah.
So you immediately intimidate them and turn on claws.
And turn on splatter. Splatter skull. Yeah.
Rhinar gets, because Rhinar sometimes struggles to get that last intimidate. This lets you intimidate basically for no cards from hand on that turn cycle.
Oh yeah, and you can always just kind of like set up anyway. So you might want to do a turn where you play it out, and then pass or whatever after blocking. I don't know, but it doesn't feel too bad. Okay. There's probably a Brute confirmed, guys. I'm just throwing it out there. So Brute Gaming. I would get your Scabbies though. I didn't put it on here. It is one of my speculations. I think they're slowly kind of creeping back up. They were $33 for WTR foils. Criminally low. Every time I say the words criminally low, I know it's somewhere out there. Somebody check marks it.
Yeah, you should pick up your Scab Skin Leathers. Like
seriously,
sure.
Brute's gonna get more support, and that's like
they
the
will
best
go 60, 70. They're
Those boots are
insane.
insane.
They say I win the game, I also block 3. Or I extend my turn. Or I just have to do the
Or I
thing I was
lose my
going to do
turn.
anyway.
They also say I lose my turn.
Or I can G and C and roll 2 1s in one game and still beat my opponent. Like,
Right. So it happens. It's Brute Gaming.
Brutes are fun.
I'd get Leave No Witnesses if you don't currently have them. I know they're not at their current high. High was about $25, but it is that Dynasty thing, and I'm always a little worried. It also is Assassin. I mean, how good are Assassins? I don't know. There's 5 in play. So there aren't that many listed. There's like a page on there, and I say that like there's 50 listings, but that's not a lot. That means there's no page 2 and for 50 listings of Leave No Witnesses. I see crazy things happening with this card. It's also probably the best 0-for-4 ever created in
it's up there.
Eversville.
Like Snatch is pretty good.
Rabble's Rabble in the right deck's pretty good. Scar for a Scar is pretty good.
But this is Arsenal hate on a card that you're going to get for free because you're codexing. Come on.
In the context where Codex exists, yeah, there's a much stronger argument there.
Arcanic Shockwave.
It also
really
hits
good.
the top of the deck. It's gross. Let's just be real. It's gross. Cold of the Grave has gone up about 116% in the last 3 months. The last month it's still gathering data, probably because it's still kind of new. But I think it's been out.
That card will go from no practical application to broken in a single set. I think.
Well, I told everybody this is the Yu-Gi-Oh problem. So you probably want to get those. Probably want to take a look at the Call to the Graves.
I wouldn't go so far as say a Yu-Gi-Oh problem. But it is going to help a deck's consistency. Like Levia, that card is gas in Levia. It's so good.
Oh,
And it'll only get
of,
better.
Speaking of Levia, is Levia actually any better with Viscon?
Yes, but you still have to deal with like Syndra and Nu.
Fair.
So
Yeah. Okay.
Syndra's not the worst, but Nu is still kind of a nightmare for Levia. Too many cards that let you peek into her hand, and like you just pull the one card she needs for her hand to work, and just dies.
Right.
Okay.
It's at $15-16 right now, Call to the Grave. So this is normal, by the way. Rainbow Foil's 18. Extendeds, I didn't look at. I assume they're equally as crazy. Snag, if you don't have them, you probably should have snagged them yesterday. They're $30 a card right now for normals. They just continue to go up. They're that meta-defined card right now. They were absolutely useless until they weren't. So welcome to the weird, wacky world of Flesh and Blood. And that's why I always say when things are off, you should probably go pick them up like your weakest links. I'm telling you, just wait. They'll probably go back down to like 30, 35 because it's just slowly creeping out. But like weakest link was topped out at $70, $80. And so you got to think about, you know, if you didn't get them when they were really high and you're like, shucks, wait till they go down low and then pick up your set of weakest links.
I try to fit snag in like literally every deck if I can. Like 2 snags.
It's just too good.
You could even play them against Jarl. Did you know that?
Yeah, because it's their own effects.
It -4 is Felling of the Crown, and at -2 is Oakenold.
Huh.
Potentially
lots of things.
Potentially -6 is Oakenold if they try to pummel you.
Pummel's an attack reaction, if I recall. But you got to read it.
Yeah, you got to read it. You also have to announce it too. Okay.
A lot of things you got to do with that. Last one is current funnel.
Ooh, good segue.
This one, yeah, good segue. It's like I'm really on top of it. This one completely caught me off. They were gone because I'm doing re-inventory and I haven't gotten.
Did it catch you off? Viscerai just LL'd. A certain deck
and
comes
there's an
out.
armory deck. Oh, come on. Like, it did though. I didn't really think about it. I honestly just didn't think about it. So,
Pikachu surprise face.
Yeah, Pikachu surprise face. One rainbow foil sold for $75 confirmed. So $75 for a rainbow foil. Current funnel happened today. There are no rainbow foils. That's not true. There technically are, but there are no rainbow foils, and they're at $35 a piece right now for the normals. So current funnel, yeah. Currently not funneled on TCG Player.
Okay, so current funnel, as you can guess, is not in the Armory deck, even though that's a great card to add to the Armory deck. The Aurora Armory deck, we got the full list. We've already talked about, I think we talked about the Skyward Serenade and the Skizit card. They got spoiled early. I don't think there were any new cards other than Written in the Stars. This card is pretty good. Yeah, and the armor. So Written in the Stars is a blue block 3/0 cost, create an embodiment of lightning token. If you've dealt arcane damage this turn, draw a card. Notably, it doesn't have go again. So you either have to play it as a Chain Ender, or you could also potentially play it as a card after Arc Lightning. But it's a blue block 3, and it's a non-attack action. So makes it easier to play Face Purgatory. The card is very, very good. Beautiful art too.
Really good. Wish it would have gotten hopefully like maybe it gets like a judge pack or something like that. I don't know. That'd be really cool. Be a cool foil or extended art. Like a bigger kind of nebula thing going on there.
That'd be awesome on a playmat too.
Yes. Yeah, the art's good. Arc Lightning too. Great reprint, I think. Again, condensing all those cards, especially on a hero like Aurora. I think Aurora is a really good aggro deck to teach sort of, I don't want to say advanced fundamentals, but I think it's good Flesh and Blood, but it also like teaches you the different reaction kind of things, like play instants and things like that. So it feels good, like a good deck.
I think you could pick up this armor deck and actually win an armory with it. This is a good deck. Like The
I
equipment,
mean, it's yeah.
it blocks. Doesn't block as much as the standard rune blade does, but 2 block on the gloves, 1 on the chest and boots, kind of 1 on the headpiece.
With a replacement effect.
Yeah. I think the most notable piece is probably the boots. I could see those actually being competitive with the legendary boots. Though I don't know if you run them simply because those cover AB1 as well, right?
Yeah.
But I think this is a great set. You could pick up this deck. I mean, if you just look at it, it's 0 for 4 city. The deck, every card in the deck is just ridiculously overrated. And all the 0 for 3s, almost all of them can be turned into 0 for 4s. They either do a 1 arcane ping, or they get +1 if it has go again, and so on. Or like, and then even some of the 0 for 4s are actually 0 for 5s. Like the Arcanic Shockwave is a 0 for 5 in the right conditions. Static Shock is 0 for 5 in the right conditions, and so on.
Skyward Serenade is great too. This is a great deck.
Yeah. Okay. Skyward Serenade is nuts. We talked about it already, but this paired with like Arc Lightning is just absolutely wild.
Yeah, because it gets a ping off of itself. You're pulling a card that can have a ping. You get to create an embodiment of lightning, which creates go again somewhere it doesn't have it, which is another ping. Like, you're feeling really good.
Okay. Pretend like I don't know what that card does.
Okay. So Skyward Serenade is a modal card. Choose 2 out of 3. Create an embodiment of lightning token. Search your deck for a Skizzik. Banish it. Then shuffle. You may play it this turn, or your next attack gets +1 and go again. So you could do your Arc Lightning, right? And then like throw a Snatch for 4 go again. Arc Lightning pings for 1. Snatch pings for 1. Then you play Skyward Serenade. You choose Embodiment of Lightning and Skizzik, for example. It pings for 1. And then you throw the Skizzik. It comes in for 4 go again and pings for 1. So Skyward Serenade pinged for 1. So 1 damage there. It got you a Skizzik that's 4 go again and pings for 1. So it's a 1 card 6. Mixed damage. Ooh. So 1 card 6, 2 arcane, 4 damage go again. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it feels great.
If you have 2 Arc Lightnings,
feels great.
You have 2 Arc Lightnings rolling. If you have a Flicker Wisp rolling, oh my god.
I don't think Flicker Wisp is in the deck.
No,
right?
It's not. But
Channel Thunder Valley isn't either. So those would kind of be like the new
Channel Lightning Valley. That is the first. That's the first 3 cards you put in the deck.
Yeah, I was gonna say those. I think those are probably like the first 3. Then you really beef it up. They're not too crazy right now. I will take a look at those just to be on the safe side. I know the premium ones are higher. I say that they're $18 a Majestic right now, so they have gone up a little bit because I don't remember them being $18. I guess it's not very surprising. And then obviously the EAs are I think like $90 or something like that. The gold foils.
Yeah, I think the first 6 cards you'd add to this deck are the CLVs, and then the React that pings for 1. I forget it. The Runeblade.
Oh, Runeblade no. Sigil of Suffering.
Sigil of Suffering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Put in some Sigil of Suffering. You put in some CLVs, and this deck is like really popping off.
No, I mean seriously, with those 6 cards, you feel good. You throw a Flicker Wisp, then you probably feel even better. And then it really would just be like touching the equipment up and any like other generics that you're really throwing in there. But you would have a field day. It's a good armory deck. It's a great product. I mean, Flesh and Blood has done a great job designing the armory decks and things like that. Maybe to the point of kind of the thing we've been tiptoeing around is Flesh and Blood underprinting their cards. I don't know. I mean, we're in a game that's growing, so they always have to, production costs, right? So how much do they print versus how much it costs them to print and distribute? And they need to have enough distributors pick up the product or they're left with it. So depending on how popular the game is, they allocate so much. And so it's kind of like a hindsight thing, right? Like, well, now the game's so popular, all of our sets are involved in the meta because you can put your hands in each one of them. And so you've got this kind of problem where like we talk about Fab 1.0, 2.0, some of these Fab 1.0 sets are, becoming really hard to get, I would say, up until I feel like Uprising will have its time too. We're going to be like, not Uprising, but it's just not there yet. But I feel like up until like Crucible, Monarch is so overly printed right now, but eventually it'll have that day too. So up until Crucible kind of feels really hard to get. And then even Outsiders and Dynasty in that weird window feel really hard to get too.
Rosetta was like the last set, and plow under $70 if you want to get one. What? I thought
it's
not a lot of that set got
it's
opened. It's crazy.
It did. I mean, it actually, I think, was one of the highest recorded like pre-sales. So popularity, speculation, investment, I don't know, call it what you want. There are a lot more people with their hands in the Flesh and Blood world than originally thought or intended. I mean, not necessarily intended, but it will take time for them to rectify this. Again, History Pack 2 is probably around the corner. I really don't see how that would not be. But the game needs it. It just needs it. It needs to flesh the white border out. It started it. It has to finish it. Otherwise, it makes absolutely no sense for that product to exist. I'm just being completely honest. It makes no sense. Like, if it was there to drive costs down and create an alternative, then you have to continue.
Sometimes you make bad decisions and decide that you're not going to follow through with further bad decisions.
No.
Exactly. Flesh and Blood is a young game, and James and LSS are constantly experimenting, trying to get things right.
But I don't think it was a bad experiment. It just needs to be more of an anthology set.
It's very subjective.
I think that I think it was.
How well did it sell, and is it fulfilling its purpose in getting those reprints out there at this point?
I don't think it was. I think it's not a problem. How did it sell? It's go find it. It sold too well.
I don't know.
It's not readily accessible and it's expensive.
I think they've given a hint that their like non-draft sets are going to be like the mastery packs, the archive sets, and armory decks. I think everything that comes in a box of
plenty.
Yeah, I think everything that comes in a box of 24 packs is going to be draftable.
Yeah. I mean, and they can do targeted reprints out of the expansion slot like they did with CNC.
Yeah.
I feel like they've got to do Codex. They've got to do Codex and High Seas.
It'd be an alt-art Codex, right?
Yeah. Imagine the chase on that.
It should be an alternate art Codex, yeah. To keep it in line so that it does this thing where it keeps people like kind of honest on both. Where if you like the original, you like the original.
That's kind of how you drive the price of the non-foil codexes down, right? You do an alternate art, so.
Oh yeah, 100%. So it still keeps its like, collectability, but puts more out in the market for obtainability.
And it becomes the least desirable one because the alt art one's rarer and more desirable, and then the foil of the original's still pretty up there, and then the Marvel, of course, the Marvel's the Marvel $1,000 card.
Right, and you just have people getting the ones that they can play because they want the ones that they can play.
Right,
because they want to play the decks.
Right, and if they made an EA Codex and like they did the CNC, it's not going to hurt the Marvel because the Marvel's completely different. It feels good.
Sorry,
yeah, they're not going to be able to
card.
top that Marvel.
The Marvels are. There's something else. Crazy unique artwork, by the way.
Those Marvel books from Outsiders were freaking beautiful. That's some of the best that they've done with a Marvel, in my opinion. I love those.
I'm a little bit on the fence. I wish they would give them a little color identity. Like if they made the Blood Rot one have a little bit of redness to it, the Frailty one have a little bit of greenness to it, the Inertia one have a little bit of blueness to it. Because unless you're really familiar with the three, if someone's running like the Blood Rots and the Frailties in their deck, you're like, I don't know which codex you just played.
Yeah, they gotta actually read it. No, they do have they did go like a weird kind of art style on it. I will say that. Like, Dynasty did the whole blackout thing. Then they did Outsiders. They did like something
cool,
different.
But they do not identify from each other very well.
No, they really don't.
No, they don't. You have to actually look at the picture. But yeah, Flesh and Blood I think will round its way out. They're not against printing. They're not against bringing out armory decks. I mean, for them, it's more product. It's more hype. It gets people into the game. So it really is not necessarily a bad thing. In fact, I think the more armory decks they print will eventually help and support the other decks. It is another product to buy. But again, like I said, you have to weigh they're trying to give you help without creating an entire. You know what I mean? Like they're doing it the best they can for the business model that also incentivizes bringing newer players in. So I feel like it's it's a good dynamic. It's a good approach. I don't think it's I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with it. So we should continue seeing armory decks kind of flourish. Probably quite a few are going to release this year. Who are they? I don't know. But there are desperately some heroes in need. So think about a hero in need, and you might want to pick up those cards for the one day that they
buy the cheap Majestics and Legendaries when they're cheap.
I keep telling you guys, it's that kind of a game. I'm not saying it so you buy like 1,000. You don't have to buy 1,000 copies. I have like 20 or 30 copies of anything at a time.
You don't have to do Noah and buy 55 boxes.
Yeah, you don't have to for the one day that everybody goes, that card will never get played till it gets played. But you do want to buy things when they're low so that you have them. You're not surprised by them. You get to play and enjoy them. And if there's something else of equal value at that time, you've generated value. You could trade that with somebody else who has some other cards. Like maybe you really want to play Codex of Frailty and you don't have it, but you get into a hero and that hero goes up and now you can trade, you got to help yourself kind of ebb your value. So when things are at a peak and you're like not feeling it, you might want to sell out of it. Go to something else and wait for it to come back up. And that way you're not feeling like you're being pressured into buying new things. Flesh and Blood is an expensive game necessarily to get into. To ride the wave is a little different though. And I think that's got to be a something to weigh when you do that. This is an investment more so than I need to buy this deck, then 1 week later I'm going to buy this deck. If you do it correctly, when you buy, you can kind of go. Now they're new sets, new classes. It's different, but
meta chasing is probably the most expensive thing you can do in this
game. But it's not meant to be a meta chasing game. It's really meant to be an identity based game. If you do want to meta chase, is what I'm saying. You do want to sell at the high and buy at the low.
Ways.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's all I got. I mean, the market's hot. The market's wild.
It is.
It's hard to say. It's hard. This is going to be a weird year in Flesh and Blood. I just want everybody to understand that.
With how expensive some of these cards are.
Yeah, no, they're not going anywhere either. It's weird. So,
no, man,
I don't know. I got a bunch of Dynasty behind me, and I'm going to sit on it like a dragon. So, and wait, because I still need a damn Marvel Emperor and a Marvel Soraya, and it's tough.
Now you just gotta look at the box and just imagine it's in there.
I keep doing that with every time I open the box, and I swear it's just never in there. I've been saying that for Marvel CNC for Lord knows how many boxes, and I couldn't even get that. I had to trade and buy them.
Okay. Well, good luck to everyone going to the last RTN weekend.
Yeah.
Hope to see a lot of people in Vegas later this year.
When is that?
June 6th through 8th, something like that.
The same day High Seas releases.
That's
also.
Oh, is it the world premiere?
Yeah, no.
No.
It's
oh, that's right. It's the week, weekend.
It's the weekend after pre-release.
Right.
Yeah. World premiere, pre-release, High Seas
Well,
legal /US Nats.
So, suddenly, I have some free time that I might end up there. I didn't even think about that.
Well, you better. Las Vegas is lit. I'm ready to go.
Oh man, it really just depends on where I guess where I am or what I'm doing. But yeah, shoot.
Okay.
Nothing I can think of is keeping me from there. All right. Well, Vegas. Wow. Who would have thought? Back again. Oh, in June though. God, it's gonna suck. It's gonna be hot. That's okay. Those casinos are crispy cold.
So
slot machines. All right.
Yep. I think that about wraps us up.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting the spoiler season coming up. We'll talk about post RTN next week and kind of what the meta may shift into with Viscera gone, as well as anything else we hear between now and then.
I mean,
but first taste of the meta results.
You got like 24 wins every weekend. It'll be interesting to see where those wins go. So, a lot of stuff to talk about next week.
Thomas, where can everybody find you?
You find me at Wet the System Fab on Twitter, at Wet the System everywhere else.
Donnie?
Draco Hominis Draco Hominis 87 everywhere social media is sold, including Blue Sky, Twitter, Discord. Those are the big ones. Find me there. Also look for me on Card Gamer. If you're interested in written content, my latest article was just published today. It is a blitz budget guide on how to build Syndra. Turns out the equipment is super, super cheap, and you can just build the rest of the deck with all the good stuff. Literally don't have to cut anything out of the main deck. Just get the cheap equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Look that up. I'm going to be posting the link to my Twitter here shortly. Yeah, go check it out. I think it's cool.
All right. And I am at BigMax5 on Twitter, at BigMax on Blue Sky, at BigMax on Discord. And we will get back into the pack cracks. I have just had to like completely shift gears and re-inventory and kind of reorganize some things, but I haven't forgotten it. I will get back to it as well. Oh man, I don't want to do a spreadsheet stream. It's not even a spreadsheet. It's me literally going through like unsorted cards and then putting them into the binders and then making sure they match the actual values. And then I haven't even got to the actual bulk yet, which is the real inventory. So
just set up your camera, throw on your headphones, and film yourself like the lo-fi girl. You know
yeah.
The girl who's just sitting there studying all the time. Yeah.
Oh, let me do that. That's what it is. It's me just like muttering to myself, flipping through the binders, going, "Why do I have these?" They're
At some point, there's a clip where like the guy with the fondue and whipping around and hitting him, and except it's cards falling down on top of you.
Oh,
oh man, it's like anywhere you look, you're like, "What's that box?" And I'm like, "You know what it is? It's cards. It's either Pokemon or it's Flesh and Blood. It's one of the two." Nobody needs 26 copies of a card. Anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. We hope you enjoyed catching up with us this week. If you did, subscribe or follow, depending on where you found us, to catch us again next time. Until then, take care of yourselves, and remember, we are all siblings in cardboard. I don't really have anything that crafty. Just read your cards. I mean, it's real simple. There's no reason you can't read your cards. You just read them. You do what it says. If you really want to announce it, you announce it, and hopefully there doesn't have to be a passerby that. Yeah. Okay. Announce it. That way we don't have an outside. The
announce your triggers.
Yeah. Announce your triggers.
Instead of discard your cards, it's announce your triggers.
It's good. It covers them all. Take care.